How's it going, everybody? Thank you for watching another video. So today we're talking about Sequoia National Park. I got to spend a few days there. So in this video, I want to give you some hints and a quick tour through the areas that I visited. And I think this national park, as well as Yosemite, even Napa Valley, I'm going to consider that a national park because it's so awesome up there. But you got to go visit it because I don't know how much longer those trees are going to be available to us because of all the forest fires that are happening in the California area. It didn't matter if I was in Sequoia, Yosemite, Napa Valley, they all had signs of massive forest fire damage. So hopefully by the ending of this video, I give you a little bit of urgency to go out and visit these trees. Because think about this, the General Sherman tree is 2,200 years. If you look at the second portion of that number, 200 years, the United States is right around 240 years. It's been around 2,000 years longer than we have. So what we're going to do is have a look at the map real quick so I can help you navigate through the tour. And again, hopefully at the ending of this video, I've built some urgency in you so you'll go out there and see these awesome trees. Alright, let's start off with the map of Sequoia National Park. Now, if you want to skip ahead, I got chapters if you want to just go onto the tour, but I think it's absolutely necessary to know what you're getting yourself into when going into Sequoia. So, Sequoia National Park really is just this section right in here. The section up here is Kings Canyon. The highway that connects is called the General's Highway. It literally runs from Three Rivers all the way through the park and then up through here. Here's the border between Sequoia National Park and Kings Canyon. Then it goes on into Kings Canyon itself. But that's what the overall map looks like. Now we are zoomed in to the meat of Sequoia National Park, which is right in this area. Now I stayed right over here in a town called Three Rivers. Really good internet connectivity. There's shops and gas stations all along this area right here. I actually stayed in an RV park a little bit closer to the park entrance, maybe right about here. So from here to here, roughly about 10 minutes. Now this is where my two recommendations are going to be so very important. You're going to see this here. Vehicles longer than 22 feet. It's difficult to go in there. Like if you got a class A, no way. Maybe B's. I see some B's in there, maybe some C's. The truck I drove was about 22, maybe 20 to 22 feet long. I'll leave a picture of it right here. The reason being is you got all these hairpin turns, and to get around some of these, you got people coming at you going down, you're going up, and vice versa when you're exiting and entering the park. It can get really tricky. And remember, it's not so much you, but it's people from different countries that might have a rent-a-car that are used to driving on the other side of the road. It gets really dicey in these sections here. So those two things, the length of your vehicle, and get ready to take some turns because it is a non-stop assault on concentrating for about 40 minutes. I mean, from the entry point here, well, let's go from the visitor center, from about here to right about here to the Giant Forest Museum. Maybe about a 40-minute drive. If it's busy, 50 minutes, and it's just non-stop going back and forth. If you got a motorcycle, you're loving life. You are loving life because you can just cut in and out of those turns so easily. But when you're worrying about other people crashing into you, it does get a little bit crazy. Alright, here's what the video is going to cover. We're going to come through the park entrance, and then you're going to hit the Sequoia National Park sign right in here somewhere. You're going to pass the visitor center on your right-hand side, and the first real thing you want to stop off at is Tunnel Rock. Don't worry, there's pull-offs on both the right and the left side, so if you don't catch it on your way in, you can catch it on your way out. Then you're going to drive another maybe 15 minutes to Hospital Rock here. On the left-hand side, there's a parking lot, so you just park there, like there's a little picnic area. You walk across the street. Hospital Rock is going to be right... Let me see if I can get a bit closer here. Right on that corner there. Okay, you can check out the, I think they're petroglyphs. Hieroglyphs? One of them's in Egypt. I think they're called petroglyphs. Right on the corner, then across, right on that corner, you can see where they used to grind on their grain to make their food. And that's where the craziness begins, right? Look at all that craziness, right? So from Hospital Rock to right about here, the Giant Forest Museum, right about 8 miles or so. Man, that could take you another 40 minutes to get there if it's really busy. Really windy roads, though. The first major thing you're going to see is this split right here where the Crystal Caves are at. This gate was closed for me because it was a little bit early in the season. It was still icy, so it was closed. But if you want to get into the Crystal Caves again, look at those turns, and advanced tickets are required. So right after you pass that, Right in here, I think it was right here, somewhere around there. You're gonna see the four guardsmen, four giant sequoia trees, about 1,000 years old. And when you think about the General Sherman tree, that guy's 2,200 years old. So just like teenagers compared to him. But anyway, you're gonna see him, and then once you hit the Giant Forest Museum, this is a critical spot right here. There's a lot of trails you can do here. So this is a spot where the Sentinel tree is at, and you can do the Big Trees Trail, which is a very easy loop, very wheelchair friendly. They got it paved. They got wooden slats everywhere, so you can walk across them. And then there's also this trail here that you can drive down that will get you to Morro Rock, and as well as Crescent Meadow. Now all of this was blocked off for me because that was under construction, so we ended up just doing the Big Trees Trail. But this entire section right here is known as the Giant Forest Grove. You can still get to it from the General Sherman Tree Trail. You can hike down, but again, it's good to look at maps. We did the Congress Trail, which is just a loop right about that big. And it took us like maybe 3 hours stopping, taking pictures, and just sucking in the air. So you can imagine how long that might take you. Well, I mean, if you're a fast hiker, you might be able to do this entire loop maybe in 4 hours. But, who wants to rush through it? And you also have a bunch of other trails that it leads to. I'm going to zoom out here. Okay, and again, General's Highway will take you all the way into Kings Canyon. But right here, that's the meat of it. All right, let's pick it up from the Sequoia National Park sign, which, by the way, has awesome views. If that's any indicator as to what you're in for, well, there it is. Here's Tunnel Rock. Just a quick thing about the drive again. I probably wouldn't want to do that drive maybe more than twice. It's just really taxing. So if you want to spend more time, there's a really good look at the hieroglyphs. Petroglyphs? I think they're called petroglyphs. This is Hospital Rock that we're looking at now. And here's kind of the area where kind of like a kitchen. They would kind of just grind their grains down in those holes, from what I understand. Yeah, if you can stay in the park, then you're fine. You avoid having to do that zigzag drive, but twice, oh, here you go. There you go. Those are the guardsmen there, the four guardsmen, 1,000 years old. If you do it maybe 2 days and you got to do that drive twice, no problem. But if you got to do it more than that, it gets really irritating. It gets really draining too. So if you can and you want to stay like a week or longer, I would stay in the park. Just look how huge these trees are. That's the reason I'm kind of dancing around there, just to give you a kind of a feeling of how big it is. There's a car going in between them. Just massive. Once you hit these guys, you know you are in the big trees. We like to just go straight to the man, straight to the Sherman Trail to see the big man himself. That's how big his base is. Look at that. 2,200 years old. I think they said it was like 16 stories. Just a massive tree. Here's kind of a quick lifespan of how a tree grows. It goes to a spire top, and then once it gets a little bit bigger, it loses its point, and it just kind of flattens out at the top. Here's a look at what a trunk might look like. Now, all these little ridges in here, those black ridges are fires. So these trees can heal themselves, and that's why those cracks don't go all the way through. Here's a really good example. The tree on the left has a big fire scar. The one on the right has healed itself. So we know the one on the left has recently had a fire in it. So here's a quick picture of it. You can see on the left there, the hole has closed down. I should have took a better picture or video of the tree on the left. Now once you're done checking out the General Sherman tree, you can hit the Congress Trail. Very easy trail, not too hilly. You see a lot of fallen trees. Maybe the soil got too wet and it tipped over. Having a look at the roots is really creepy to see. For the size of the tree, they don't go very deep underground. Here I've selected to go with trees with interesting scar marks. Look at the size. That right there is probably maybe about 40 feet. That's how big that scar mark is, about 40 feet. Just giant. Huge. Here's another one. Now, I'm showing you this because there is a hole in this tree. And if you were on the other side, these trees are so big that you can't see to the other side. So you really got to walk around the base of these trunks. Next up is the presidential tree on the trail. That's what that was. Yeah. Then you got this is the Senate group of trees. Then of course past there, after you walk through this fallen tree, kind of creepy looking inside one of these after the fire kind of holds it out. Oh, right before the house are these two trees that look like they've either split or they were together. It's hard to tell with a lot of these. So here's the house. Then you hit the McKinley tree, which is a giant tree onto itself. Now here's a look. So there's a kid standing up on these roots way at the top there. That's how big that tree is. Just looks like a nightmare of these roots. Look how big this tree is. It is massive. They cut a hole right through this one here so you can walk through it. Looks like Khonshu there at the top if you guys are watching Moon Knight. And again, just another reference point. Look how small those people are walking next to these trees. Alright guys, we're here at Sequoia National Park, and I'm not an expert in sequoias, but you probably start off with something like that. Then it goes to something like that. And then that ends up to something like that. Alright, before you hit the General Sherman Trail, you are going to hit the Giant Forest Museum. And this is where I was saying is kind of an important step-off point, because you can go a number of different ways. You can get onto Morro Rock, you can go down to the Crescent Meadows, you can do the trail that we did, which we're going to see, which is the big tree trails. There's a look at Sentinel, the Sentinel tree. So big. So big. For me, the Morro Rock trail was cut off, so we basically just had the big trees trail, but really easy. It's so flat. In the beginning, it's concrete. You cross the road there that I'm trying to show you there. Then you cross over into the actual meadows area, and here's what it looks like. It's so peaceful. Now, if you ask me what I would rather do, and this is going to depend on where you're from. Like, if you're from an area that's got a bunch of meadows, then you're not going to find this very entertaining. But the size of the trees, look at the people there, so tiny. I would rather do this trail than the Morro Rock trail. You know, some people are really impressed with the view from Morro Rock, but if you're going to make me walk 400 stairs up, and it's just a nice view, that's not going to impress me any, because, you know, I'm originally from Hawaii. I've seen its outstanding views, but if you're from an area that's relatively flat and you haven't seen those types of views, then maybe you want to walk the 400 stairs. But for me, this trail, I learned more on this trail than I did throughout the entire park. It was just the best hike ever. The Congress Trail was neat, but this one you see a lot more. This is an area where you would want to take a picnic at. You can see the wooden ramps there that are wheelchair accessible. But just a beautiful area to go to. And if you get the chance, I heavily recommend going up to Sequoia. Well, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that quick look at Sequoia National Park. I hope that's giving you some inspiration to go out and visit it. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.